Hello. Uh, Hi, Miss Novita. I'm not able to hear you.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Uh,
Yeah, I will start for this event today.
okay.
Yeah. Good morning. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to visiting lecture today with Chandigarh Group of Colleges, Punjab, India. Welcome to the Honorable Dr. Shanky Goyal, as Associate Professor of Computer Science and Engineering. As for the topic today is operating system. Yeah, and today's session is being live streamed on the Universitas STEKOM YouTube channel. And now I will read over agenda this afternoon. First, we will start class presentation by Dr. Goyal and continue with the Q&A session after already presentation. And last time is time for documentation and last is closing. Okay, let's begin. We will start the class presentation today delivered by Dr. Jessica Goyal. The time is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Novita. So today we are here for the topic on the operating system. So let me share my PPT with you. I hope so it will be visible to everyone. So when we talk about the operating system, so that is the basics of our computer system. Our computer system is not able to work out if we don't have an operating system. So what is basically an operating system? Operating system is work like a software. It is a software. So our computer system is basically a hardware, and it needs a manager who can help to handle out that hardware that is available to us. Even we are having a 4 GB, 8 GB, 16 GB RAM. But if we don't have an operating system, then that heavy hardware is not even helpful for us. So operating system is basically a program that manage our computer resources. If we talk about the computer resources, so what are the computer resources? Like we are having a keyboard, we are having a motherboard, we are having the processors, we are having a RAM. These all hard disks, these all are our resources. So how these resources will work perfectly, we need a manager on top of that. That manager is basically the operating system. So operating system is, that's why we call the operating system as a system software, not the application software. System software means it's handling our system. It is basically making a bridge between the users and the complex hardware, because we can't directly work on the hardware. Even anyone will give in hand hard disk. So we cannot put our data directly into the hardware. If we are having an operating system, only then we will be able to put the data in the operating system. So that is basically the operating system. So that is handling our resources. If we are having a 8 GB RAM and we are having an operating system Windows 98, then that operating system will not show us that 8 GB RAM, because it is not having its capability. So every operating system is having its own capability, means like every human being. Every human being cannot do every task. So each operating system is having its own qualities, its own functionalities that that can handle. So the latest operating system can handle any much hard disk you are having, as any much you are having the RAM installed on your system. So operating system is basically that manager that is handling all the resources that are available on your operating system, on your hardware, on your system. So first of all, when we start our computer, there is a power button, when we start that power button, so what happens? Basically, operating system is a software. So what is happening? Operating system files are coming to your RAM. In RAM, from where every application require the main memory. So when operating system come into main memory, it starts processing. And operating system is having one kind of the register where it maintains all the things, that what kind of softwares are installed on this particular system, what kind of hardwares are available on this system. It reads from that register. That is basically called it the registry in the operating system. So in that register, all kind of these things are available. And then it start the works. So first of all, we will start with what is an operating system. So if you will see in the PPT, operating system is having the three kind of thing. One is the most important thing is the resource management. Second one is the user interface, and third one is the security and protection. If you will see in between, there is a CPU. CPU is available. Then there are keyboard and then there are monitor. So we know that in CPU, what is there? Memory is there, the hard disk is there, all external drivers are there. Everything is inside our CPU. CPU is what? That is basically a hardware in which the processors are available, hard disks are, so all resources are coming inside that CPU. So when we talk about the operating system, so what happens in the starting when we put our USB drive or through the, we will say the DVD, we install basically the operating system. So what happens in that case, it basically takes some portion of your hard disk and it is installed there. And some that basically give the click to the operating system. That kind of click is basically saved inside its the BIOS. So when we power on our computer system, that operating system boost up and come into the main memory and it start the running. Remaining all the applications installed our operating system. If you know that when we install the operating system, then we need to install all the driver also that we are having in our system. So that drivers, what that drivers are doing, that are basically tell our operating system in the starting that these kind of hardware is available with us on which you have to work out. That is basically called as your resource management. That information we provide to the operating system while installing the operating system. At that time, we tell to the operating system that this much RAM is available with us, this much hard disk is available with us. These, yes. Hello.
Yeah, Miss, please go ahead.
Oh, okay. So at that time, we basically tell our operating system that this much hardware is available with us and you have to deal with this. Like at our home also, we are having some kind of the resources, we are having the fixed income and we have to establish it. So same case happen with our operating system. It is having the resources that we provide and that kind of information we give in the starting by installing the drivers, and that kind of information is saved inside the operating system register. It is having a one registry, registry.edit.amc, where all this information is getting the saved. So the operating system know that how much resources it is having, how much, if it is having a 4 GB RAM, then how to utilize that. It is having this much hard disk, how to utilize it. And at the same time, it gives us some kind of pop-ups that if anything is mismatching or something is happening, it basically handle all that kind of, even if it sometime it get crashed also. So there is a event handling concept also in the operating system, and it tell the user that this happens because of this. So that is the resource management. Second thing, the most important task is the user interface. User interface is what? It means how we will interact with our application, how we can interact with our hardware, how should we save our data in the this much system. We are having a hardware, we are having a RAM, we are having a hard disk, we are having a keyboards and all that kind of resources. But how to use that? So operating system is basically providing us one kind of the user interface, either that is graphical based or either that is the text based. Both are available. We know that in the Linux, Unix, we do mainly things through the commands, but in the Windows operating system, how we do that? We click anywhere. Because when we click on the Windows, what happens? It basically show us that these kind of applications are installed on it. So how it happens? The operating system is giving us that option. We get the one exe file, we click on that. When we click on that, it basically runs. And after running, what happens? It basically saved inside the registry of the operating system. So that our operating system knows that these kind of softwares are available with me. and user can use that. So how user use can that? In Windows, we basically click on that particular application software and we can run that. Either that is Windows, that is Internet Explorer, anything, any kind of software. So that applications, these are the basically the applications because we are using it over our system software. System software is our operating system that is handling basically all the hardware. So after that, what happens? The user basically install the application and then it clicks on that application and run that particular application. So that is basically our operating system. So the next thing is our in Linux, what happens? We basically use the shell prompts or something to run any kind of the thing. And the last thing that operating system basically help us in the security and protection. So how this thing can happen? If you know that in today's operating system, inbuilt security softwares are already come, like Windows Defender is coming or something else is coming. They are using the authentication kind of thing, like you can use the thumb, you can use the face recognition, you can use the passwords before opening any kind of your laptop. Windows come in the front when we start our laptop, operating system runs, and then a screen comes to us where it asks us to for the login, either through the thumb, either through the face recognition or through the password. So these kind of security and protection are available with us. And with the upgraded version, like in 90s or 2000, there was no any kind of defenders are available. We specially installed the softwares like Avasta, these Norton, antiviruses we basically installed in our system to protect our system. And secondly, we use basically the password. But in today's operating system, we are getting a compatibility with our hardware that it can store the user's biometric data also, and it can also provide us some kind of the protecting software that help us or help our systems to protect from the external users. So it is providing that kind of the softwares. So that is basically the security and the protection. So what basically the functions of an operating system? In operating system, basically, it's not limited to just the four kind of functions in the operating system. So the first thing is the process management. So what is basically the process, right? So process is basically the task that we want to implement. If anywhere like we want to run out the Internet Explorer. So when we click on the Internet Explorer in operating system terms, it comes into the process. Process is what? The task that comes under the execution. When it is on our system, that is basically a software that is available at our hard disk somewhere, that is available only. But when we click on it, it comes under the process. It comes to our memory for running process. So how this process will execute, how much RAM it is required, how much data it is required, how much hard disk it will require, everything. So when we install any kind of software, a basic information of that process basically saved inside the registry of the operating system, where it mentioned that the minimum, this much of RAM I will require, minimum RAM that I will require when anyone will click on me. So process management, it basically see that, so which process it need to execute or it need to wait and how much resources it need to be allocated. Okay. Second thing is our memory management. Memory management is what? Like our operating, our systems are very much limited. If we will talk about in laptops, there are 4 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM or 16 GB RAM, right? But we are having the lot of applications in our systems. We play basically the games that is of 5 GB, 10 GB. If the complete application will come inside our main memory, so how it will work? 16 GB RAM is the total, and 10 GB game is coming inside that. And hardware, our this operating system is also taking memory. Our Internet Explorer is also taking memory. So as much application you will click on the system, that all will take the memory. So our operating system is having that much capable that it should be able to handle the memory required by all these softwares. So that is basically your memory management system that is done by your operating system. So how it is done? So it can be done through the paging. It can be done through the what we guess using the fragmentation part. Anything that depends on what kind of operating system we are using. So memory management means to efficiently use our memory for the program execution. The third thing is the file management concept. So what is basically the file management concept? We know that in our operating system, in our hard disk, we basically divided into C drive, D drive, E drive. So how the files will be organized, it basically give us one kind of the directory structure where we will save the data. We can categorize into different directories like C directory, D directory, E directory. Under that, what we do basically we create the some kind of the folders. Under that, we can create the subfolders. Then we can save our files. So this is basically called as your file management system. Every operating system is having its own way to manage the files. Next thing is your input output management system. So what is the input output management system? We have connected our pen drive. We have connected the DVD drive. We are having a printer. We are having a keyboard. We are having a scanner. So a lot of external input output devices we can connect it. Or we in input devices, output devices. These also come like RAM, your CPU, your processor. Everything comes inside the input output devices. So how when I'm doing something on my keyboard, so how this keyboard data is going inside my application, how the processor has done the communication like 3 plus 4 is equal to 7. He has given the out. So how the 7 will display, how the one we are giving some input, how the output will come on our system. So this is basically called as your input output management system. Operating system is what it is doing. It is providing some kind of the communication or some kind of the system calls between our input output devices. So that like our hard disk is an external device kind of thing. So, but we are able to see the data from our pen drive in our. So how it is happening? So it is happening through the input output management concept of operating system. So the next thing is our types of operating system. So we know that today's we are using the so different kind of concept. Previously, there was two main concept. One was the desktop concept and second was one was the server concept. Desktop concept is what? We are having a limited kind of RAM. We are having a limited kind of hard disk. Everything is very much limited. For that kind of system, the different operating system are designed. So as I already given an example, if you have heard about that the Windows 7 32-bit operating system was launched in 2006-7 around, at that time, what happens? If we are having hardware of 4 GB RAM, or 8 GB RAM. But that Windows operating system was not able to show us that 8 GB RAM. It was only visible 3 GB RAM. Why? Because that operating system was not capable to handle that 8 GB RAM. So this is the concept of the desktop version and your server version. In desktop, we basically, there is a limited kind of memory hard disk. In a single laptop, there can be a single hard disk can be installed. There can be a single RAMs can be installed. So there is a very limitation. So for that purpose, different kind of operating system are designed that we in general life we are using. But in server operating system, what happens? Their special softwares are designed, special operating systems are designed that are basically handling the more than 16 GBs of RAM. It can handle the 64 GBs of RAM, 128 GB of RAM, or the multiple. Just a second. So in server operating system, what happens? There can be a RAM available that is 64 GB, 128 GB, or there can be multiple slots of RAM can be available. There can be multiple slots of hard disk are also available. So for that kind of handling, that are resources. So for that kind of handling, there is a requirement of the different kind of operating system that can handle, that can fetch the data from the multiple hard disks or from the multiple RAMs. So for that purpose, there are specially designed server operating systems. So that are basically like if you have heard about the Windows Server 2003, Windows Server 2008, Windows Server 2012. So these kind of operating system are having the different functionality. Other than the basic functionality of operating system are same. Like they have to handle the resources, they have to handle the file management, input output devices. But server operating systems are like, if you have heard about the RAID functionality, RAID can be available only through the Windows Server operating system. Virtualization can be applicable only on the Windows Server operating system. So that kind of servers operating system are different from your desktop operating systems. Similarly, when you talk about the mobile operating system, you know that everyone is today's date, we are using the mobiles. So in mobiles also, we are having some kind of software that we are installing. So that in every phone, you know that there are different some are Android based operating system, Apple are using the iOS based operating system, and some are using the Windows phone, in which basically click and that kind of concepts are happening. So these are the three categories in which every company is working. Different kind of operating system they are designing for the different kind of functions and different kind of the functionalities. So when we talk about the process management, how it happens. So I told you that what is basically a process. Process is nothing. When you click anywhere on your operating system, anywhere on your Windows, when you click on Internet Explorer, when you click on that, its name is changed into the process. So process management is the main task of your operating system, where he needs to allocate it the RAM, it needs to execute, take the input from user and give some output, do the calculation, allocate the processor, and do the proper process scheduling. We know that in today's computer, we are having a multitasking system, multi-programming system, everything is available. A user simultaneously they work that they are opening the chat GPT, they are opening the Internet Explorer, they are opening the Word, they are opening anything, multiple concepts they are opening. So these are the multiple processes and they all need the main memory, they all need to come into the main memory. So which process will execute first and how it will happen? So there is need of the process scheduling. First of all, there is a process creation. What process creation is doing? When we are clicking somewhere, it is creating a new process. We allocated the necessary resources. I told you that there is a registry where minimum resources required by each application is mentioned there. So when we click on the process, it basically take that necessary resources, it gives to it. Yes, there is a question is how an operating system manage memory, especially the difference between the virtual memory and the physical memory. But how does the OS decide what data goes into the virtual memory and what stay into the physical memory? So this is basically done by the intelligence. So today's previously it was not happening. That's why our system were crashing randomly. When we click on that, it basically goes on the goal, and then we need to restart the system, right? But today's what is happening, our operating system and intelligent, they know that physical memory is basically using when we are not using any kind of the software. See, when we click on any kind of the software, it comes into the main memory and some data goes into the virtual memory, where we store that kind of the pages that are randomly using by that software, right? And the operating system decided based on, and the operating system decided basically based on that, right? So the next thing is our process scheduling. So process scheduling is what? we are having so many softwares installed on our system. We have clicked on so many softwares so that all are converted into the process. So how our operating system will decide that which software will run firstly? So for that purpose, there is a need of there is a need of the scheduling concept. So operating system, in our operating system, there are many scheduling algorithms are available. Like first come first serve, there is a shortest job first, there is a round robin. There are so many softwares so many scheduling algorithms are available. And we know that now the multi-level, multi-queue, these kind of scheduling algorithm we also implement. It depends what is the requirement. Operating system decide out. There is, you have heard about the priority scheduling algorithm also. So what happens, the softwares that are related to that particular system that are given get the main priority. So operating system basically implement that kind of the scheduling algorithm that it can implement on the process to decide out that which process will execute first and which process will execute the next. So that is decided by operating system based on the scheduling algorithm. That scheduling algorithm are implemented while designing the operating system. While designing the operating system. So process scheduling is also based on some criteria that what resources are available and what resources are required by that process that is waiting for its execution. What time it's required, what is the priority of your process. So these are the basic conditions. Based on that, the resources are allocated to the process, right? That after that process creation is done, process scheduling is done. The last step is the process termination. So when to terminate the process? First thing and the main thing, he get all the resources. He get all the resources. He has complete his termination. Then there will be no error, and the process will start back the all the resources to the system back, and it will terminate that particular process. But sometimes what happens? A process is running, right? And it requires the printer, but printer is busy with another operating system, another process. So what will happen? It will basically add into the queue that this, when one process will complete its execution, then another process will come and it will start its execution, right? So that is basically the concept of the process termination. If the process will wait for a long time and it's not getting any kind of devices that is required, so what we will do, we will keep up some pop up some messages that the waiting is going so long. If you will see in our system also, if we are waiting for a long time, it give us some kind of a pop-up that system is not available. Do you want to wait? Even in the Internet Explorer, if you will click on the multiple tabs, you will get this kind of the error. So that is basically the operating system is handling this kind of thing. If he is not available to allocate the resources to any kind of the process, then it will give that kind of the messages to the users, right? So the next thing is the memory management. So how the memory management is done by, if you will see here, there are the applications, there are shared libraries, there is a kernel, there is a memory. So how these are connecting over there? So when we talk about the shared libraries concept, there are multiple programs that use the shared libraries. So what we basically do, we do not call them every time with every application. There is a simple example. We are having one program in which we are taking the int a comma b, we are taking some kind of the integer, and in other program we are taking some kind of the strings, and both are using the standard input output header files. So what will happen? That is a common in both. So what the operating system will do, it will take that standard input header file once, and it will connect that process, both the processes, with that particular library. And after that, what is the role of the kernel? What is the role of the kernel? So kernel is basically connecting your application with the hardware, right? So we are having a memory, application can be run only through the memory, but there are so many commands in the program. Like we have open simple word application, and we want to give the print. So for the print, when we give the print is basically a command that is going to the kernel that I want to execute the printer. So kernel is basically that is helping us to connect the software part and the hardware part, right? So for memory management purpose, there are some other concept operating system is doing. So what kind of the concept that it is doing? It is using the virtual memory concept. It is using the paging concept. It is using the segmentation concept. So there are so many concepts that we cannot clear in a single slide. So many concepts are done by our operating system to handle that particular memory, because our memory is very much limited. That is only 8 GB or 16 GB, where the multiple processes are running and the multiple processing are using that particular memory. So what is happening? They are basically swapping the data, swapping the pages. It basically divide our application into the multiple pages. So what users are basically doing, they are operating system is doing the pages that are required for the particular application. It keeps that pages into the memory, and another pages it gives the swap out. That swap out is also depend. Either it is sending it to the physical or it is sending it to the virtual memory. It is basically the pages that are that will be required on the regular basis. It keep that on the virtual memory, and other are basically sending it to the back to the physical memory, right? So after that, there is a file management concept. File management is what that I already told you. In there is a hard disk in our operating system, right? So which file we need to, how to create the file, how that file we, for us there is a GUI system. We are just clicking on that and we are getting data, right? We are click, we create a file. We click, we delete the file. What we click, we edit the file. So it is just a clicking kind of thing. But what is happening in the backend? How it is happening? So how that click is coming? It is not copying through to the application. It is coming the concept inside the operating system. It is giving us that power that you can create a file and then how it will manage that particular file. Right. So if after that there is a file access control. File, what is a file access control? We know that in operating system, we can lock our files, we can lock our file directory also, we can give a particular access to the system and we know that we can create the multiple users in our operating system, and every user is having their own files. He does not have the access of the another users. So that access control is managed. There is an option of user and security kind of concept in our operating system. The third concept is the file backup and recovery. In our operating system, there is an option where we can take the backups of the files, we can recover the, and today's it is basically connect with the clouds also. We all having an operating system. There is a OneDrive concept that is installed in our system. We can connect with that and then we can send our file backups on that OneDrive also. Even our photos, our videos, that even from the mobile operating system also, we are transferring that data to the Google Drive. Same case is happening with our laptop also, with our desktop operating system. We are having some kind of the software that connect with your Windows, and it regular basis, it basically transfer the backup from to that particular cloud. And then when we are recovering that data, it asks for us for the that particular login, that where you have taken the backup, and it can recover that particular data, right? So this is basically the concept that is happening today with the cloud and with our operating system. Next point is your input output management, how it is happening that. We know that if you have opened to the CPU, there are some kind of the buses are communicating between the different devices, like from hard disks to your RAM to disk. So different kind of concept is going on within the system. So same thing is happening with our laptops also, that there is some kind of the connections are happening inside the our laptop, our display system, our printer output, network communication. So how it is happening basically? So obviously everything we are doing through the software. Operating system is our software. If we are clicking on the, if we are clicking on our, we will say the file, and we are giving the print command. So how it will go to the printer that someone wants to use you. So how it will happen? So there is an input output management system that operating system knows that these kind of input out devices are connecting with it. containing one kind of the file where it is showing that these kind of devices are connected. And for that devices, it is basically maintaining the queue. Like for the CPU, in CPU scheduling, we have discussed that it is basically maintaining the queue. At a time, this particular process is using the CPU. Similarly, for the input-output devices also, there is a maintenance of the queue, there is a use of the device driver, there is a use of the device softwares that are basically making the communication between the different input-output devices and your application. From application, you give some kind of a system call that I need this particular device. That device, that call basically goes from your shell to your kernel that this application is basically want to use this particular device. So what to do? Kernel communicate with your hard drive where it is having some kind of the data that these are the devices that are available with me, and they are busy, they are free, these blah blah blah. They basically maintain this kind of information for each of the device. When we want to communicate through bus, that data transfer, and when we receive the data, that also come back to your system. It comes to your memory, and from memory, it basically goes to your application, where it basically display what kind of output you have required. Could you tell me what is the difference between process and a thread in an operating system? Yes. See, process is what? When we click on an application, it comes into the process. And when we talk about a specific task inside that particular process, that is basically the thread. That's why we call it the lightweight. Right? If you have heard about the thread is called as a lightweight because process is heavy. Process is having a lot of tasks inside that. But that specific work that we are talking about, that is basically called as a thread in an operating system. Yeah. Next question is, I'm a bit confused of how the operating system handle the CPU scheduling. Yes. In CPU, basically operating system is a software. It's a software, there are some kind of the coding. Basically, we do that if some task come for the CPU purpose. CPU is one kind of the resource for the operating system. So he need to allocate that resource to the particular system. So it is having first in first serve scheduling algorithm. It is having the shortest job scheduling algorithm. There is a priority queue. There is a round robin also it can execute, or it can also be used a multi-queue scheduling algorithm in which based on the task that what the task he is getting, based on that it can decide out which algorithm it is getting. So how it basically decide that? So how it will get that? So every process, I told you, when we install any kind of the software, it is having some kind of the criteria it provides us. It gets the basic information of that particular software, like what kind of RAM it will require to execute, what kind of hard disk it will be required, from where it's software. It is a third-party software, it is an inbuilt software, it is related to which company, everything is registered inside the registry. So operating system, based on all this information, it decides. So like we set out some kind of condition in our program that if A is greater than 10, A is greater than 30, or A is this, A is this. So we set out some kind of the criteria in our general program also. Similarly, in CPU programming also, in operating system programming also, there are these kind of the criteria set. They, like if process is coming out and it is having this criteria, it will be go in this particular scheduling algorithm. Otherwise, it will be go in this scheduling algorithm. So that is basically the answer of these questions. So the next thing is our security and protection that we have discussed about that. In our operating system, previous operating system, security and protection was very less, and we faced so many hurdles in that case. But today's operating system comes out with the user authentication, firewalls, access control list. Windows firewall is already coming with the operating system. Windows Defender is coming as an antivirus software. User authentication is coming by like a password, biometrics, face authentication. So these kind of if our hardware is that much capable that it can take the authentication, then our operating system are also coming with that compatibility. No, I will not say that if we are having a laptop with a biometric and all that, and we are installing on that Windows 98, then he will not be capable to handle that authentication kind of concept, because in its software, that kind of concepts was not we have coded. But in today's operating system, Windows 11, Windows 12, and these kind of Windows, we are having a concept. If our hardware is capable to take the face gesture, it is able to take the biometric, then our operating system will be able to save that kind of data corresponding to the users. So that user authentication is available for the security purpose. Second thing is the firewall. Firewall is what? That is basically blocking the unauthorized data and the network data that is coming from when we are connected over the internet. So firewall is basically the blocking. In every computer system, there is a firewall where you can give some kind of the access you can block. You can create some kind of the, we can say, restrictions, some kind of restriction that these kind of software cannot be installed in my system. So that you can create. Even the journal people and journal students do not do that, but that is capabilities available with our operating system where we can restrict to install some kind of the some kind of the system. If anyone is using your system, he will not be able to install that third party software that our firewall can restrict. The third one is your Windows Defender system, or we can talk about the antiviruses. So what the antivirus is doing, if anything is installed, you have not done any kind of restriction through the firewall, through the user authentication. The third things comes in the market is that is the antiviruses. Today's operating system is having the capability to integrate with the antivirus. It is having the inbuilt antiviruses also. So you need no need to install the third party antiviruses. So what the antivirus is doing, if the user has installed the application. So during the installation, your antivirus is active and it is detecting that this application is not perfect for my system. So it can restrict that. It can delete that harmful files from your system. So your operating system is integrated with that. Last thing is role list. What it is that? It is basically restricting the users that these kind of applications can be used by these specific user and other application can be used by the other specific user. So that kind of security and protection is available with this. So in the final operating system can do operating system is basically the last. It is the hero source of the digital world, providing a foundation for all the computing experiences, basing the doing the core function and the features that are available within our computers. It is basically helping the human beings to use the hardware, to implement the thing, do the research, and find the final results. Thank you so much. If any other query, you may ask.
Okay, thank you so much for your presentation. And for all participants, if you have any question for the speaker, please add them to the chat or you can raise your hand. Thank you. Yeah, we will wait the question until 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Thank you.
Any question other than this CPU scheduling and all that? Okay, could you help me understand how an operating system handle the file management, how the file stores and organized, right? So that is also, I told you that every operating system is having its own organization kind of thing. Means how your operating system is understanding. In like in Windows, operating system understand the concept of directory, folders, and the file concept of thing. So we know that in the hard disk, everything there are the track kind of concept. So it when we in the starting we divide our hard disk into the C drive, D drive, E drive, anywhere. So it basically asks the user, you go to the particular directory. In particular directory, you click to create a folder. So it basically understands that in which track, at which place you are basically creating that particular files. So can you explain what a system call is and why is it important? Obviously, in operating system, without system call, nothing can be happened. So there is a concept of the kernel and shell in the operating system. Shell is what that we are interacting with the operating system. From shell, we are taking the data. Shell is the software kind of concept where users are putting its query, something, or he wants to do that. So through that, a system call is generated, and system call generated like if we want to connect to any device, we want to create a file, we want to use it, we want to use the memory, we want to use the CPU. So system only through the system call it is happening. It is not like a journal call that we dial a number and do that. It's basically when we type any kind of command, it is basically generating a system. That is the system call. And that's why the operating system works only through that system calls. Anything else? Any other question? We guess no one else is asking again. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah, thank you for answering. I think it's very clear answer from Professor. Yeah, before we close this event, for all participants, please open your camera. I will take a picture on the count of three. Okay, one, two, three. Okay, another one, two, three. Okay, thank you for your keen cooperation. Finally, we come to the end of visiting lecture today. We would like to thank you for Dr. Jivika Goyal.
Dr. Shanky Goyal. Actually, by default, it is coming. My daughter has changed that.
Okay. Yeah, for the wonderful information and sharing your knowledge. We hope this information will be beneficial for all participants. At least we hope to have more collaboration in the future with Chandigarh Group College, Punjab, India. The visiting lecture for today and here. We hope to see you soon. Thank you and have a nice day. Thank you so much for Dr. Jevita
Thank you
and
so much.
Shanky
Thank you.
Goyal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No issue. Thank you.
Thank you.